Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalia Leigh. I am an indie author and full-time freelance editor. It feels so good to say that. I am editing full-time now. And anyway, today I am here to share my top 5 tips for crushing your goals for Camp NaNoWriMo. So if you're going to be participating in Camp NaNoWriMo and you want some tips to make sure that you're staying on track and crushing your goals, then keep on watching. Let's get started. For those of you who have not participated in Camp NaNoWriMo before, let me give you a very quick, brief breakdown. NaNoWriMo is writing 50,000 words in a month. Camp NaNoWriMo, which happens twice a year, and the first session is coming up here in April, is a little bit different. So there's still the community, you're still coming together to write new books and set new goals, but with Camp NaNoWriMo, you get to set all of your own goals. So whether you're writing a new book or editing a book, you get to set those goals yourself. Now, because of that, and because you do get to set your own goals for Camp NaNoWriMo, my tips are going to be a little bit different from my tips that I would give you for NaNoWriMo in November. Now, my first tip is to sit down, pull out your bullet journal or your schedule if you have one, maybe you have like a Google Calendar or something, and look at how much time you actually have available. I have a bad habit of assuming I have more time on my hands and just more available free time than I actually do. And I have a feeling a lot of you probably do that as well. So when you are calculating blocks of free time, remember to also calculate, do you have to commute to work? Do you have to be driving back and forth, taking your kids places? How much travel time do you need to account for? And once you actually look at the kind of logistics of how your days are broken down, especially weekdays, because weekends are a little bit different, that will give you a better idea of how much available time you actually have to write. Now, you could go a step further and, think, how much time do I spend in the evenings watching Netflix? How much time do I spend in the mornings sleeping in on weekends? Could I sacrifice 1 hour of sleeping in order to get some writing done? So when you do this, you break everything down into a calendar or a schedule. Now you know how much available time you actually have, how much free time you have, and then you can decide how much of that you want to dedicate to writing, because you don't want to take all of your free time and say, okay, I have to write every single hour that I'm available, because you're going to get completely burned out. But when you know how much available time you have, maybe cut that in half over the course of the month and say, okay, here is the actual time I have available to work on my project. And that is going to lead us into the second tip, which is to be realistic when you are setting your goals. So, first things first, be realistic about how much time you have. But then when you know how much time you have, realistically think, what can you get done during that time? Let's say you have, for example, 5 hours a week. If you can write 500 words an hour, that means you can usually write about 2,500 words in a 5-hour block of time. And if you have 4 of those in a month, then you could potentially be writing 10,000 words across the course of 4 weeks, writing 5 hours per week. So be realistic about the time you have, and then be realistic about how much you can get done within that time. And that's why I said break down the time first, because then you can come into your goals and say, okay, what can I actually get done? Because I know, because I have done this, I have a tendency to set these really lofty goals, and setting lofty goals helps me push myself, which is positive for me. I like that type of pressure, but that doesn't work for everybody. Some people don't perform very well under pressure. And in addition to that, you don't want to be setting goals that are so overwhelming that there's no way you're going to be able to achieve them. I see that as being very discouraging. If you set, this big lofty goal for yourself, but you know in your heart that there's no way you're going to have enough time to achieve that goal, I think it's going to be very discouraging. Not only because you can't achieve it, you can't win, you can't win Camp NaNoWriMo, but then it can also make you not even want to try anymore. Because if you're already discouraged and I can't achieve that goal, then what's the purpose of sitting down every day trying to achieve it when there's no purpose to it? So set smaller goals, set realistic goals for the amount of time you have, and then when you're able to achieve those, it's going to feel so good, and it's going to encourage you to keep working hard and then setting and achieving more goals in the future. All right, so you know how much time you have coming up during Camp Nano. You know what your goals are. My third tip now is to write those goals down. And you can do this in different ways. I mean, of course, you can use the Camp NaNoWriMo website, but I would take it a step further. Personally, I like to write my goals down on sticky notes. I'm going to show you my current goals board for the next couple of months. So my goals board is back here behind me, and you can see that not only do I have my goals like broken down over these different months, but I have them all written down. And when I'm able to achieve a goal, I will actually pull off the sticky note and then I put it down here. So the benefit of this is that I can actually see and feel my goals. And that sounds a little bit weird, but just hang in there with me. So when I write all of my goals down on sticky notes, it's almost like I'm committing to them when I take that pen to paper and I write that goal down, and then I put it up on this board, and it is a physical representation of the things that I want to achieve. And when I'm able to say, okay, I completed the goal of updating the Pistol Daisy illustrations, it feels fantastic to take it and rip it off my board and then put it down here under that little finished header there. So if you want to, write down your goals for Camp NaNoWriMo on sticky notes with a whiteboard like I did, I think that's a fantastic idea. Maybe you want to write 10,000 words in April for Camp NaNoWriMo. You could take that 10,000 words and break it down into 500 word chunks. So you would have 20 sticky notes on your board or on your cork board or whatever with, 500 words written on them. So every time you write 500 words, you get to peel off that sticky note and put it somewhere else, and that feels so good. And another way you can do that, if you don't want to use sticky notes, you could use a planner or a bullet journal. I love bullet journaling. I'm actually going to have probably some more bullet journal videos up for you guys shortly. If that's something you're interested in, those will go live on Fridays because those are my more like personal video days. But anyway, write it down in a bullet journal so that you can keep track of your progress, and you can, do little X's or check marks when you finish something and when you achieve a goal. And again, the purpose of this, of having something like this, is that you have a physical, visual representation of the goals that you want to achieve. And plus, I think it's fun to check things off in my bullet journal or rip them off the board. So it just encourages me to get more done because I want the satisfaction of pulling off that sticky note and seeing that I have made progress. Okay, so you have all of your goals. My next tip number 4 to crush NaNoWriMo is focus. And this is something that I am practicing, and it's almost like I'm relearning focus. I listened to a TED Talk a month or two ago, and a portion of this talk was about focus and productivity. And this person was talking about how the more we fragment our attention and are constantly distracted and trying to multitask, the worse we become at remaining focused on one sole task. And I can absolutely attest to that. I, this year, have been practicing focus and productivity because I have to now. I work from home full-time as a freelance editor, and I have to make sure that I'm spending my time appropriately so that I'm not falling behind on any work for any of my clients. But previously, before I had to really professionally focus, I would find myself sitting down to work or sitting down to write. I would have, 5 tabs on my internet browser. I'd have maybe a YouTube video going. I would have Amazon pulled up. I would be on Goodreads, and then I would have my Microsoft Word document pulled up with Pistol Daisy on it. And then I would also have my cell phone next to me. And when I was working and writing in that way, like with that environment kind of around me, I would never get much work done because maybe I would write 100 words and then I'd go on Instagram and be distracted for 5 minutes. Or I would write 250 words and then I would reward myself with a YouTube video that takes 20 minutes to watch. And that was not productive, that was not focused, and I felt myself, I felt my mind almost becoming fragmented because I could not focus on a single thing that I was working on. So my big tip for you, once you know what your goals are, you have to have focus. And what I've been doing recently that really helps is, number one, setting a timer on my phone. It helps if I know that I have to be super focused for a short amount of time. So I will usually set my timer for anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much I have to get done. 45 minutes is kind of like the sweet spot for me because I get a lot of work done in 45 minutes, but it's also not a full hour of focus and undivided attention. So I get that 45 minutes with a 15-minute break, and then I get right back to work. So setting a timer might really help. Also, I have found it helpful to use noise canceling headphones while my timer is going, and I just play soothing like meditation music or spa music, instrumental music, because then I have a sound, a very soothing sound, kind of taking up the extra space in my mind where my mind would usually wander or search for outside stimulation. I think many of us kind of struggle with this need for our minds to be constantly stimulated and constantly seeing something, scrolling, watching, being given information. It's becoming exceedingly more difficult to just sit quietly or to just sit with your own thoughts, or I have found it exceedingly more difficult to do that. So if I have my noise canceling headphones in with soothing music playing while I'm working, that really helps keep me focused and it limits distractions. And then if you don't have noise canceling headphones, or maybe you just want to go a step above and beyond, you can work in the office or in your bedroom and close the door. This is especially helpful and really important almost if you have family members. For example, I live with my fiance Greg and I adore him. I love him so much, but when he is, at the house and he's around, I find myself wanting to interact with him. If he walks by, I might say something to him. He might come and ask me a question. And even though that's fine, and I love that, I also know that it fractures my focus. I become distracted and then my productivity really slips. And it takes way more time to get anything done than it would if I was just focused. So if you need to, put in those noise canceling headphones, close the office door or the bedroom door, take that quiet, focused time for yourself, even if it's just half an hour or just 45 minutes. And if you are super hyper focused during that time, it will amaze you how much work you can get done in a fraction of the time it would usually take you if you were otherwise distracted. All right, coming up on my fifth and final tip to crush NaNoWriMo this year, that is to take advantage of the community and get involved in the community. That is my absolute favorite thing about NaNoWriMo, is that we are all coming together to write books. We are interacting with one another, in the forums maybe, or on YouTube or on Twitter. And it feels so good to know that you are surrounded by other people. So definitely get involved in the community. So my first sub tip going along with that is to get involved on the NaNoWriMo website. It does still have some bugs. I had really hoped that it would be fixed by now because it was terrible in November for NaNoWriMo, and now we're coming up on April and it still has bugs. It's super buggy, which is unfortunate. Get on there, sign up for an account, put in all your goals, and then try to get involved in community. I know that there are forums you can participate in, so that would be my first thing that you can try to do. My next one is getting involved in the YouTube community if you're somebody who is comfortable documenting your experience and your writing journey online. YouTube has hands down been the most supportive, welcoming, and loving place for me as a writer, and I could not be happier here. Our community is absolutely phenomenal. We welcome everybody with open arms, and I love that. So this is an especially good time to get started. If you have some interest maybe in joining AuthorTube and you're nervous, we're all nervous, I promise you. We are all nervous when we get started, but you have to push past that. So NaNoWriMo, Camp NaNoWriMo daily vlogs could be a really fun way to get involved in the community and to document your process if you're somebody who is comfortable with that. And then the third thing I would say that you can kind of join in on here on YouTube are virtual writing sprints and live streams. I just hosted one this morning. Over 100 people showed up. That was amazing. I think there were 120 people at one point. and we were all writing together and, you know, chatting in the comments, and I was answering questions. And even though we're separate, we're in all different parts of the world, it felt like I was connected to other people, and we can encourage each other that way. So I would recommend that you get involved on the website, get involved on YouTube, you know, schedule some time out to join virtual writing sprints and live streams if you can. I know that NaNoWriMo hosts them as well. And then the last thing I want to say is that on the NaNoWriMo website, this is kind of a new function. So with Camp NaNoWriMo, there used to be cabins, and I loved that. I would host a cabin every year that I participated. Now I think there are groups, and again, the website is buggy, so I can't promise that this will work, but I went ahead and I created a group, and I think we can have up to like 25 members. So I would love to have you guys join my group on Camp NaNoWriMo. So if you are interested, what I'm going to do is pick, you know, 24 or 25 people, however many people I can, and add you guys to my group. But all you'll need to do is comment down below, let me know what you're working on, and then tell me your NaNoWriMo username. Make sure to get that correct, because if you don't give me the right username, I can't find you and I can't invite you to our group. So let me know what you're working on for Camp Nano. Share your username with me if you would like to be added to my group, because I don't know if you can request to be in groups. Again, it's a new website. This is the first Camp NaNoWriMo that they're hosting on the new website, so I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I want to make sure I have a group so that we can support each other, we can chat to one another there, and just encourage each other to really work hard and go after our goals. Camp NaNoWriMo will be here in just a couple of weeks. Pistol Daisy stuff is coming out in just a couple of weeks. Guys, oh my gosh, it is the 15th of March, and probably the first week of April, I will be revealing the Pistol Daisy cover. I could not be more excited. I have had this cover for so long, and I've wanted to share it so bad. So if you want to get Pistol Daisy information, live stream reminders, all kinds of really good behind the scenes information, make sure that you have signed up for my newsletter. It's always linked down below. Those people will always get information before everybody else. They got a sneak peek at the Highborn cover before I revealed it. They knew it was coming up. So it's a pretty fun place to be if you would like to kind of join the club and get all the behind the scenes info. So that'll be down below, right down there. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here today. I truly appreciate you. Make sure to leave your username for me if you want to join my Camp NaNoWriMo group, and I will see you in my next video. All right, happy writing. Bye.